What's going on, fellow Walking Dead fans? This is Solid Dave Snake, kicking off my reviews on The Walking Dead TV Series 7 action figures by Mcfarlane Toys. And for this first review, we're going to take a look at another one of the key villains in the Walking Dead franchise from the TV show, and the leader of Terminus, Gareth. And this is the one figure in this series, besides the zombie, that is a new character in action figure form. We have already gotten a Carl and Michonne, but this is the first Gareth action figure we've gotten, and might be the only one. So this is a must pick up for a lot of collectors from this series, and he is outstanding. I have a lot of great things to say about him during this review, but before we get into it, looking at him, let's take a look at his accessories first. And one of the really neat accessories he comes with, since it gives away what his intentions of himself and his group are from the ending episode of season 4, whenever Rick and Michonne and Carl and Daryl are running through Terminus getting corralled in, they come across a pile of bones and human remains. And that's what this is supposed to replicate. And it has really neat detail all over it. It's actually a really soft plastic too. You can see it's hollow on the bottom and is real rubbery. But it has great detail, like I said, but the paint scheme just isn't doing it for me. It looks like it almost belongs with one of the bloody black and white figures. There's just not a lot of paint there besides the gray and dark tones, and then of course the blood red. But all in all, it is a neat accessory and fitting for Gareth. And two other things he comes with are candles from Terminus, which all the figures in the series, minus the zombie, come with a different kind of candle. And here's one of the ones he comes with. This candle looks like it's melting up here at the top. Then of course has a kind of brass looking bottom base to it. So I found it kind of weird they were putting candles in with all these figures, but really they're just kind of neat extra accessories that you can use, hell, for other action figures too, even besides Walking Dead, in different dioramas. And this other candle here is just white, and he can hold on to this candle really well. But like I said, there's no paint variation between the handle and the candle. The other candle he can't really hold, but this one it fits really well into his hand. And he only comes with one weapon, but it is a nice one. It is a little Beretta pistol. It fits nicely into his hand, but his fingers, his index finger is not set out like some of these Walking Dead action figures. So if you want his finger in the trigger, you're going to have to take it upon yourself with maybe an X-Acto knife to cut in between those fingertips, and you might be able to get it to separate and be able to put on the trigger. But this is how he comes with his fingers all together. And I'll give you a close look at the handgun. And there's an overall black paint scheme to it, but it has silver dry brushing, which looks really nice on it. One of the better looking pistols we've gotten. So very nice. And he has a holster, but it's not really a good holster. This is one of the only gripes I have on this figure. The holster is almost non-functional and a big pain to get the gun in there. And it doesn't even look like it fits right. I don't even know if I'll be able to do this on camera. It's really tight in there. And the holster's so shallow, the gun barely goes down in there at all. But there we go. That's about as far in as it'll go. And the strap for it is almost pointless. It has a knob on the other end of the strap, but there's nothing to plug it into. So Not very good of a holster, but at least it comes with one to stick it in there. And it does hold behind there nice behind that jacket. But those are all the accessories Gareth comes with. I was kind of surprised he didn't come with an AK-47, but if they do another version of him in his jacket from this season of The Walking Dead, maybe they'll give him an AK-47 since he was using one. But let's just get right into Gareth now and take a look at him from head to toe. And Mcfarlane really upped the paint apps in this series. I think they've been listening to us, complaining about some of these series paint apps on the faces especially. And they really corrected it with these figures. Especially Gareth looks great. He looks a lot like the actor that played this character. And they did a great job with the hair. One of the neat things about it is on his bangs they actually paint a little skin tone there to make it look like it's separated, kind of like how it was in the show. And of course they gave him a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow all around, which turned out great on my figure. And his eyes are painted on there real nice too. So great head sculpt. And then moving on to the torso, he has an excellent jacket, which could be removable for customizers if you wanted to. But it is, it's a little more pliable but still stiff, so it would be kind of hard to take off. And he has a dark blue shirt underneath that, and then even looking like he has long johns underneath that shirt. So he's got multiple layers here. And Mcfarlane just did an excellent job sculpting all this. The shirt underneath one side of it is not tucked in where the other is. That's a neat little detail there. Good job on the detail with all the buttons running through here. Pouches. I've always been impressed with the way Mcfarlane does the folds and wrinkles in cloth. They really sculpt all that stuff in there very nice. As you can see here on the back of his jacket. And along his belt, he has a lot of really nice detail. That holster's kind of basic, like I said, but he's got his little radio here, which is nice they added that on there. And his pants down below just have a lot of weathered, beaten look to them. Pockets on the back, although those pegs to give it this motion of articulation are always kind of a little bit of an eyesore. Great folds and wrinkles down at the cuffs where it's connecting to his boots. And a great job on the boots. So detail wise, I was very impressed with this figure. And he is pretty darn good articulation wise for a Walking Dead figure. He has a ball joint at the head, which will rotate all the way around and look about that far down and that far up. He's got a ball joint and hinge at the shoulders, which will go up that far and rotate all the way around. And a ball joint and a hinge at the elbows, which you can get them up to about 90 degrees up and then all the way back straight at the elbow and rotate that all the way around as well. And his hand articulation at the wrist is hidden really nice in there. It is just like the previous couple series with the way they have those updated wrists, but it's hidden really nice underneath that cusp of the coat sleeve there. And of course you can rotate it all the way around, and you have to be mindful of where the hinge is. But that hinge is there to move in and out. But you kind of have to look in there and see it. Know where it's at. And he does have a cut at the waist, although it is very minuscule, the movement you can get out of it because of the jacket and belt. But he almost has another swivel point right here before the hip articulation. You can get a little movement in there. But of course he has that updated Daryl leg articulation that all the Walking Dead figures are getting now, which will kick that far up and get him to do a full split. Tell me, guys, what you think about this point of articulation right here. Let me know in the comments down below, because this is something I've been wondering on, and I'm just going to bring it up now. I really think this was a much needed articulation point, being able to kick up like this to get characters to be able to sit down. But do we really need this hinge here? It would almost be better just to have a ball socket there instead of this, to where you could just move the leg a little bit all around, because once you have this movement, you don't need much more. And the articulation that I'm talking about was actually done with the Series 1 comic book Rick Grimes. If you have that figure and go take a look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I think Mcfarlane should really go to that style, because I don't like these pegs. They're a little bit of an eyesore on this spot of articulation. And are you ever going to pose your figures like this? No, you're not. So I hate to complain about extra articulation, because I'm an articulation nut. I like a lot of articulation, but I just think there's a little bit of a better way to go about it. So, alright, end rant and back on the articulation. He's got a ball joint and hinge here at the knees, which will rotate all the way around and go up to about 90 degrees and back straight. And he has that ball joint at the foot, but it is hindered a little bit from the cuffs of the pants on both sides. But you can get pivot, or swivel, and a little bit of minor pivot in there. So, all in all, I got to give this figure a high recommendation. And if you are a big fan of these Walking Dead action figures, go out to your local GameStops right now and try to pick Gareth up. So, alright guys, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I will have the Mud Walker review up next. Later.